And shalom, everyone. Shalom. I want to welcome to everyone to the house of the Lordship of Israel. I'm Elder Michael Johnson, the pastor here, and also with the pastor with King James Bible University. And today we're going to be going through the humbled man. And what we got to really see and pay attention to is I had to actually, we're speaking, we see things was not still put up for today. So what I'm going to do is just letting people know again. What I'm end up doing, I'm going to take control of Sundays again. So the main thing is when Sundays you can look here, or you'll be able to look at Elder Jenkins' page where we'll be running Psalms class. So I'm going to take control back of Sundays again based on what's going on. Because just like I said before, we always supposed to be prepared to teach. And so what went on this morning as me and Elder Jenkins were speaking, we didn't see nothing up. So then behind that, one of the moderators called, find out what's going on. It was nothing up for today. So I'm putting in this day, but I'm going to take over this day. So I'm just letting everybody know across the board when on Sundays, it'll be this day. It'll be over here. Simplest way to do it. But what we want to do is understand something. The same thing is but I was glad that they actually already had this image prepared. But we want to look at the humbled man. The reason why, we want to understand something. And before we get into this lesson, we want to understand a couple of things. One, when we did the biblical law, and we ended it yesterday, to where I'm going to be going through meticulously to see what's moving forward. And one of the things, if you pay attention, that's why I was really happy about the image that they provided me. Because you see a bunch of men. Even though it says man. So that's mean man or woman, but what the image is, so the focus is men. And what I said before, said it last week, been saying it for quite some time. Our biggest issue across the board with men, M-E-N, one of the biggest things we have is pride. Pride is the destroyer of all things. Pride. And same thing, like I talk to people about what I did with when I was up under the teachings of Dr. Shaul and things I've done. But what we want to understand is one thing. When you in a position of learning and you're in a position of teaching, when you in the position of learning, you got to know when to change that hat, no matter what. You change the hat and you go into a position of learning. And then as you learn, you can learn, then you do the studies, then you understand it fully. And then when you go into position of teaching, it'll start being applied into there to where it start being incorporated into your teachings. Simple analogy. However, even when you talk to people on the streets, when you talk to people in other places, this is how that works. However, same as yesterday, and this is why I speak the way I speak, majority of the questions still continually come from women. That makes no sense. Because pride, men refusing to be humble because they more scared to, I don't want nobody to think I don't know. That's problem one. Same as I told people before, when I sat before Dr. Shaw in the class where everybody was, and when he opened it up for questions, I can care less who was watching, who was looking, who figured what I can care less. I still asked the question. See, at the end, he still showed and let everybody know I was one of his best students that he ever had out of his 45 years in teaching. I'm only saying that because I'm not sitting there saying to put myself on a pedestal. I'm showing you, no matter what nobody thought, I can care less. I still ask the question. I can care less how stupid you thought it was. Oh, that's stupid. I don't know why I can care less what you thought. I'm going to ask them the question because I'm not trying to entertain it for you. So this is why we're going to switch a lot of stuff because of this issue. Because the same thing with humble man. Same thing. Now this lesson to show you. Actually, I'm going to put this up. I'm going to put it up to where you can see what it is. Let me put this up real quick. Well, I want to go to 1 Peter 3:15. I want to go to that. And I want to show you something. I want to make sure everybody understand where I'm coming from. We're going to look at 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. It says, "But sanctify the Creator God in your hearts." And, so this is including something. "And be ready always to give answer to every man that asketh you the reason of your hope that is with you, that you with meekness and fear, having a good conscience, that whereas they speak evil of you, as of evildoers they may be ashamed, that falsely accuse your good conversation in Christ." Very serious statement. I'm saying that to say this. This lesson that I'm going to go through, this humbled man, it's not prepared. But I'm prepared to show you what humble is of a man. And how we need to approach things, because we always have to be ready to teach. So this is why even afterwards, I'm going to open up a Zoom for all leaders, all teachers here going to come into Zoom. Because we got changes today. So all leaders going to come in there. Any leader don't come in there and we can't get a hold to them, we'll take care of it from that point. So this is what I want to make sure of. So if you got a leader that's not in here or unable to attend there, I'm just letting you know. And this is everybody who's taught here. So I'm looking for all teachers, everybody who's taught here, brothers, elders, and deacons. After this lesson today, we're going to go into Zoom. But what we want to understand the first things. Yesterday, we spoke about understanding women. And I want to make sure we first understand that before we get into humble. Because first, we got to understand women as a whole. Let's look at something. We're going to look at this, and do everybody remember what I taught on women yesterday? Because we're going to recap some of that. Do everybody remember that? What we taught on yesterday? We're going to start over here at 1434. Do everybody remember what we taught on yesterday about women? So we want to clearly understand that. And it tells us this. It says, let your women keep silent in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience. Comparing also said the law. This is clear. So now, again, what I want you to do is this. I want you to take women. I want you to put in parentheses. I want you to put next to it and put spirits. Spirits for women, and then you put woman below it, and then put spirit. So we have spirits, and then we have spirit. Then what I want also for the churches, I want you to put the body. Because once we get into this, I'm going to show you why humbled is going to be so really, really critical. So now what I want you to do is we're going to look at this, and we're going to look at the spiritual analysis of this. Well, some things I spoke yesterday, so we're going to reiterate this before we go into it. Because this verse is spiritual, and the dynamics within the body of believers is what we're doing. This is in the body of believers. When spiritually discerned women, meaning spirits, as the body, it shifts our focus from spiritual discipline in an order within a collective community of believers. I want to make sure we are all clear on this. In this, when we look at this, we have to understand the precepts of law. We have to understand the understanding even of wisdom and literature. We have to understand both. And we have to be able to combine them to come out with one full thought. Let's look at something. We're going to go over here again. We're going to reiterate this. We're going to look at Deuteronomy. We're going to look at the law. And look at the law, we're going to look at 31. We're going to pick it up at verse 12. Taking it there, and it's telling us here. And I'm not sure if I used this yesterday. I'm not too for sure, but we're going here. It says, gather the people together, men and women and children and thy strangers within thy gates, that they may hear, 1, that they may learn, 2, and fear to desire, 3, the Spirit of your God, to observe, to do all the words of this law. This is what it's telling us. It's right up front. So this precept is going to emphasize the importance of order, of learning within a gathered community. So when we're looking at this particular, it's a directive. Look at it as a directive. We're going to hold everything according to law, and we're going to look at it as law. So this directive for women, for these spirits, to keep silence, this aligns with the need for discipline, order, and proper reception of divine wisdom within the body of a church. Again, the same reason why even yesterday, and why I will always do it, when people come over here and they just start posting stuff in here, they're doing it out of order. This is why most times you'll see a lot of people, they like to go across different platforms, and you go in, you look in the chat, and you just see all kinds of conversations going on in the chat. That's confusion. That's confusion within a body of whatever they believe. That's confusion there. So you got issues over here, and you have issues going on what they're teaching on. But then you have 4 or 5 different conversations going on the other side. That's confusion within a body. The reason why we do it the way we do it, because this is without confusion. That's why we push this, without confusion. Some people don't like it. Some people is against it. But the main thing is, this is what we push. I don't want you to be confused. So when you look in the chat, you can sit there and see what's going on. You can see the spiritual words. You can see and understand. You can see the verses being clearly put there. You might see people come in there, and then you might see people might agree with me. Hi, this and that. You might see people come in saying shalom. You see people doing that. That's one thing. But they ain't coming in to really make a disturbance. They just coming in just greeting, hey, shalom. That's pretty much it. That's all they say. And then they go on about their business and they sit there and watch. But they're not sitting there to start confusion. Ask people, we're going to tell you what about this? What about that? They're not doing that. They just coming in, greeting as normal what they do. They greet and they go on. Now, sometimes their greeting might be removed based on how I might be running verses. Then it might be removed because that's what's going on. But it's not out of disrespect to them. As well as they didn't respect me. That's when they came in and they spoke. There's no disrespect taken on either side. So this is one thing. And when you look at this in a better way, let's pull something. In Proverbs, we'll find this. In Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10, we recapping from what yesterday is, and we pulling in today. Same thing like rolling through peace sign. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy, of the separated, is understanding. So this is why I say it's so important. And we have to desire, we have to reverence all what's going on. And give me 1 second. I just want to turn this fan on. 1 second. So this is why it's necessary to have this spiritual order and keeping silence in the form of reverence and submission. in divine wisdom and order of a collective body. So when something going out, it's not good to disturb that person next to you. You know, I tell you what, have you ever seen where you can go into a place and you're there to learn, get information for whatever it is, and the person next to you just talking about it, just oh yeah. They just talking to you, and you trying to pay attention to what's being disseminated out, but they are in your ear. And it's a distraction. It's a 100% distraction. And it's telling you this is why it's good to keep quiet in the churches. Because the one that is set in order, that the one where you have to be in obedience and submission to what information has been disseminated out, you trying to get that information, and they done came there. They're not coming there to get information. They came there to just be confusion. So the same thing here, confusion. So when they do that, they sitting there, they take things out of order. Same as here, Miriam and Aaron. Because it's Miriam and Aaron in Numbers chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, it tells you Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman. They didn't have no other issue with Moses, but they want to show you that Moses had issues based on an Ethiopian woman, and they don't even know if she was Ethiopian. They couldn't speak against Moses based on what Moses was saying out of his mouth. But they sitting there saying, no, we got him on this because Moses married an Ethiopian woman. We got him on that. Whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman. We got him on that. So it's error in this guy. This is why they said that how the Lord indeed and words spoken only by Moses. This is why they actually end up saying that. He only spoken by Moses. Hath he not spoken also by us? Aaron, did you marry an Ethiopian woman? No. Did I marry an Ethiopian man? No. Okay, wait a minute. Hold up a second. Our brother did. Has the Lord only spoken by him? And did not he speak through us also? Yeah. Did you marry an Ethiopian woman? No. I didn't marry no Ethiopian man. We got some error in this dude. There's some error spoken in this dude here. You have to remember, he was raised in the house of Pharaoh. So he wasn't always around them. So that the bonding wasn't really there. And then after he became an adult and living amongst the people and still in the house, and then when he killed that Egyptian, he fled. And then he spent another 40 years somewhere else. So the bonding with them and his brothers and sisters was not really there. But the problem is, the Lord heard it. The Lord heard it. So this illustrates the consequences that they end up getting for challenging spiritual authority in order. So Miriam and Aaron was questioning Moses' authority. That led directly to Jehovah's intervention, emphasizing the importance of obedience, the importance of being submissive to establish spiritual order. That's the issue. And the bigger issue is this. You know how many people we sit here. We go into Zoom. You know how many people will sit here and won't ask the question based on disseminating information out, but then they'll speak against myself, they'll speak against Elder Jenkins, they'll speak against other ones. We know. We know. This is rampant. It's rampant. But we choose not to. We choose not to really look at things in a certain way. In building on that, we're looking at Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 1. And this is one same thing. We recapping because we're going to get into humbled. It says, keep thy foot, keep thy desire, thou goest to the house of God. Meaning this, when you is among the house of God, be more ready to hear, period. But then when you be ready to hear something you don't understand, the door is open later to where you can ask questions. And people choose not to use that. People chooses not to use that avenue. And it's telling you right here, it says, be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, the established covenant of fools. Oh, bro, I'll tell you what, he taught on that. I don't believe it. No, I don't quite believe it. No, I can't quite go with that. Really, that's interesting. For they consider not that they do evil. That's 100% evil what you're doing. 100% evil. Besides questioning the way, the direction that's being taken to show you, to help you to understand, you have to remember we're talking to a mass of people. And with this mass of people, we truly have to understand, with this mass of people, the teaching direction might be taken, might not be to your liking, because the path that is taken, because it's trying to bring other people in, you have an issue. Speak against it. But you should be more ready to hear. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thy heart be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou upon the earth. Therefore, let thy words be few. Therefore, let thy words be few. So it brings us back to the same application on how to understand this. 1 Corinthians 14:34. Let your women, let your spirits keep silent in the churches. So what we need again, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna reiterate it if I didn't iterate it yesterday. One of the things we need to make sure we have: spiritual discipline. It's one of the key points we need to remember. Spiritual discipline is what we need. Spirits within the body must maintain silence, reflecting a discipline. This approach in receiving and respecting wisdom and authority that's come from out of those mouths. The order of reverence. This help promotes an atmosphere of reverence and order within the community. This shows you when teachings comes out, you can get wisdom from there. And without disruption, that's how you should be receiving it. One of the main reasons, I know I said that, one of the main reasons I don't care for comments being in there. People want to just sit there and just talk in the chat. That's why I don't want to hear it. Because they trying to pull you away to something else. So it comes all down to one thing: being humbled. Being humble. The Bible speaks of humility. Humility and humble is one and the same. Humble means you have humility. So if you didn't know, now you know. Humble is showing that you have humility. And I'm going to show you humility, how it functions, the characteristics, how it aligns with one who is truly a believer in the righteousness of Jehovah, to serve many times in correction, to serve in guidance, to draw you closer to Jehovah. Through the trials, discipline, humility is critical for receiving favor and blessings. Because that's all it means. Humility. Show you this. Just to reiterate some of the things that we went through. In Matthew chapter 23, and we'll see this. 23 and verse 12. And we're going to talk about that. It says, whosoever exalts himself shall be abased. Whoever exalts himself shall be abased. This emphasizes the true greatness of the kingdom of God. And this person who be abased is the one that's not humble. They don't come with humility. He should be humble. He shall humble himself, shall be exalted. Meaning this. Do you know how many people that sit there based on not being humble? If they truly don't know something, they rather exalt themselves, tell you something that's 100% not true, and they truly don't know the answer to it. But besides them being humbled and going to people who know the answer, they just going to answer it themselves. They just exalted themselves, and they truly didn't know the answer to it. This is a big issue. This shows you exalting oneself always going to lead to being humbled. And while humbling oneself will always lead to being exalted. It's clear. It's clear in Scripture. This is so clear in Scripture, it's unreal. This is one we got to really personally understand for ourselves. And just building on that. We just want to understand something. Because this is reiterations on what we was doing. In Philippians chapter 2, we're looking at verse 3. It's telling you, let nothing be done through strife or vainglory. You see how it's vain glory. When you're dealing with the word of God, don't do it in strife. Don't do it in vainglory. We have to make sure. Do you know how many places? If you want to see vainglory, you got many other channels, many other avenues you can go, and you can see that vainglory. Many people do that. Many people seek that because they want the glory. They want that eternal power, but it's vain. It's fake. And the main part of it is, it's done here too. So I'm not saying it's just elsewhere. It's here. The only thing is, the only problem people going to have, I'm going to weed it out because I'm not going to have it. Because vainglory should not be happening here. But the lowliness of mind, let each esteem each other better than themselves. Look not every man on his own things, but let every man also on the things of others. One of the best ways to actually look at this is tell you this. Somebody have a lot of information or they have knowledge on something. Lean on that person. It's the same as if your brother or sister own, or say they are a real estate agent. Let me use that. And they know the ins and outs and how to do things. So what they'll do, you sitting there, this is your first time going to buy a house. You get there and they with you. But you want to be Big Joe. You know everything. So as they sitting there, hey, they might ask some questions. Hey, dude, hey, I got this. I'm buying the house. You ain't buying nothing. So they be quiet. But they know all the ins and outs, and they see pitfalls that you run into. But since you is Big Joe, they probably could have saved you $15, $20, $30, $40, $50,000. But you got. Why? You want to go in there and you want to be the main one because you want to have that vainglory, like you knew what you was doing. It's not smart. I've seen many people got like that. Many people I've seen got like that. The reason why, because don't ever think the one that you're dealing with don't know you. Because soon as they see that hole there, they say, they don't really know. I can do them. And that's what they do. They do you. They end up doing you. Same thing is, I just, a couple of weeks ago, I went to purchase a car. And the main thing is, when I purchased a car, the guy who I was buying it from, we went to we sat down, he gave me his price. I gave him my price. And I already now have developed a relationship with him. There's a way in doing that. That's also called the power of negotiation. But I exercise that on him. And now we in this negotiation phase. So he's seen what was going on. And he goes back to his manager. Comes back. No, the manager can't do that. We can do it for this, but the manager can't. No, dude. I'm going to tell you right now. And these some of my exact words. I said, I'll tell you right now. If that price don't roll, I'm going to tell you right now, somebody going to take that price for the exact same car. So I go somewhere else. He goes back to the manager. So then he comes back and said, can you please wait? He didn't have nothing else rolled on the paper this time. He said, can you please, my manager want to talk to you. He said, but I want to be really honest with you. He said, my manager think me and you know each other because he can't believe that you hold into this number. That's why he's coming. And about 5-7 minutes later, his manager came over. Said, hi, hey, Mr. Johnson, yeah, how you doing? So we speaking. He said, this number is kind of unfeasible. And I just wanted to speak to you. And he said, now, I spoke to the salesman that you have here, but this is an unfeasible number. Okay, that's interesting. That number is so unfeasible. Why are you here? Why you come out here to talk to me? Because all you had to do is tell him that you wasn't going to take that's not a feasible number. He could have said, hey, that's not a feasible number. He said, thank you very much. You have a nice day. I say, but evidently it must be feasible because you right in front of me and you're the manager. He said, yeah, I just wanted to speak to you. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, you see that number right there? I ain't going past that number. I said, as long as I don't go past that number, I promise you, somebody's going to take that number. And I'm going to go get the same exact car that me and you talking about that's on your lot. I said, I promise you. Someone, he said, really? He said, well, I have you here right now. His whole conversation changed. He said, I have you here right now. And it don't make sense for you to travel and go around. He said, let me go make a couple of phone calls. He said, but I'm asking you, please, don't leave. Okay, well, I'll hang here. He turned around, he walked back into his office. And now the guy, he's sitting there. He said, man, I ain't never seen him talk like that. I said, really? I said, no, I ain't never seen him talk. So me and him just talking back and forth. And this kid, he was real intrigued about me talking about other things. When me and him went test driving the other car to make sure that this car was cool. So he comes back. He comes back about 15 minutes later. So I knew this time he actually talked to somebody. He said, I'll tell you what we can do. I said, yeah, what we can do? He said, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. And this is when you know you have them defeated. He added $900 on that price that I had. That's to sit there to show that at least they got something. And I looked, and I'm sitting there, I say, dude, I told you this was my number. He said, sir, I'm telling you, I promise you, you can't beat this nowhere. This is the best I can do. He said, I done went down the owner of this dealership, and it's a huge dealership. He said, I'm telling you, I talked to him. This is the best number we can do. I said, well, I tell you what. I say, see, I showed him the number. I say, see this, the front two numbers I'm good with. That third starting number, I'm not cool with, because that ain't the number I had. He said, sir, please. So he threw in some things to make sure I get the car. He said, I throw that. He said, this is worth this amount. And this is worth this amount. He said, and I'm going to give this to you to get this car. So I said, man, I got to think about this, man, because I'm telling you right now, I don't like that. See that the first two numbers I'm cool with. That starting at that third number after that comma, I'm not cool. And he's sitting there, man, this don't make no sense. What's wrong? He said, I'm giving you, after all this going back and forth, I said, okay, I'm going to go here. I'm going to take that number. I'm going to eat. I said, it's just like, I'm going to eat these cookies. I'm going to eat that number. And I'm going to take the deal. I say, but I'm just letting you know, I don't like that number. I ain't saying I don't like you. I don't like the number. Because that number wasn't there when you went back there. That number came with you back. So I know you didn't put that number there. Somebody else put that number there. He said, yeah. He said, then he told me the owner put that number. I said, yeah. I said, just like I said, I prefer to talk to him. He said, man, we did everything. But he gave it to me for the exact price with that number there. And then once he walked off, the same thing. The salesman, everybody else sitting there, they couldn't believe what I got the car for. All based on built a relationship and what you stand on. But the main thing is, humility was there. I never had to raise my voice. I never had to get crazy with him. I never had to, well, a lot of us like to use profanity and all this. You don't have to do none of that. And the same thing like the guy even said. He said, man, I can't even believe the dude let you get the car. Now, it had one black guy work there. He came up and caught me outside. He said, man, my friend told me he said, man, I don't even know how you got the car. He said, because I'm going to tell you, I wish you can show me how you did that. This is a black guy who worked there, but he act like he white, but Same thing. So the main thing is, I didn't boast about it, didn't anything. But all things was just based on humility. I'm sitting there, I respected the salesman, I respected the manager, I respected even the owner, even though I didn't get to meet him. But the main thing is, they knew I wasn't going to bend. Because one thing I was going to do, I was going to stand on what my belief was. So that's what ended up going on. But out of this whole thing is what you want to understand when you're doing something. So when you look at humility and valuing others above oneself, serving them in a selfless way, you have this attitude that you go with. You can sit there. I never sit there and says, let it be done. Let nothing be done in strife, because strife was never there. Or vainglory. I wasn't doing it for glory. But in loneliness in mind, each esteem another better than themselves. I always let them know. They always had the upper hand. Always let them know. They was the one in control. It just was what I can't deal with. And look, not every man have his own thing, but every man also on the things of others. So when we're looking at humility, I want to show you something also with men. We're going to look at this and show you when divine favor will come on you. Show you something. And we see this in James 4:6. It says, but he giveth more grace. Wherefore he saith, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. That's a key. Humility attracts divine grace. Humility. It's going to attract grace. You can't even get around it. When you are humble, you dealing with something, that's going to attract automatic grace when you humbled. You humbled because first thing come out of their mouth is it too much? Do you think it was too much here? Do you think this was that? No. I was humble the entire time because it's no reason for me to lift up, because same here. God resisted the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. All you got to do is be humble about what we're doing. That's all we have to do is be humble about what we're doing. That is what you do. That is how you doing it. So when you sit there and you see these things, you understand it. You can sit there, when someone come to you humble, guess what? You're going to extend grace to them because they coming to you humble. It's automatic. It's an automatic switch. You can see people in the back and they come into Zoom. They say, I just don't get it. Guess what? They come in humble. You automatically have to extend grace. Oh, let me show you how this works. But he giveth more grace, wherefore he said, God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. And if you have that spirit in you, you let somebody come to you humbled, I promise you, you have to extend grace. You're not going to get around it. That's not going to go anywhere for you because you have to extend it. Let's look at something. And most people say, I don't know. You have to extend it. It's the same as you see people who, You see people who in jail or certain places, they can be humble. But the main thing is somebody who just trying to do you wrong and just do you in. That's one thing. In Proverbs chapter 11 verse 2, it tell you when pride cometh, then cometh shame. Why? Because you're going to get checked. When pride cometh, when that pride shows its head, shame coming behind it, because you are going to get checked. You see people come to you, oh, I'm going to get her straight. Oh, I don't appreciate that. And you call yourself going to check someone. Shame coming behind it, because you're going to get checked. But with the lowly is wisdom. You're not going to get checked. I tell you what, this is for anybody. Have you ever been in a situation where you went up to you was in a store? You can be at a place, a shopping place, or anywhere. This is for anybody. Where you have went in and something didn't happen your way, and you just raised all kind of sand, all kinds of hell. Has that ever happened to you? Now, I know some people are going to say that. I ain't going to say it. But you went in there and something didn't go your way and you start raising hell. This, all you got to do is just sit there. Well, I'm just sitting there. I know there ain't too many people that ain't going to put in there, because most people are going to sit there, nah, not me. Because I'm just asking a question just to show you exactly what I want to see. So as you went in there, now, and we got a lot of people saying, yeah, this they did that. Now, the thing is, when you did that, same thing I'm asked, and this is sitting there saying, just put in 100 on this, the ones who saying I. Then were you met with resistance, or were you met with a defense? Just put in 100 if that happens. Were you met with resistance based on that, based on your attitude toward them, or were you met with a wall? Yeah, exactly. This will happen to anybody. Now, this is a difference. This is a difference. You take that same thing, that same attitude, that same thing that happened, and you go in there. You don't go in there and you want to sit there and you want to move up the road to the right person. You want to sit there and you want to let them know, but you have to go in there knowing what you're talking about. I came in here, I purchased this, and this wasn't to what it wasn't what I purchased. And they're going to sit there, but you go in there, you humbled about it. You ain't coming in there with this pride. Because they're going to make sure. Either they're going to resist it, or they're going to do something else with it. You go in there humble. Tell me, I can't believe, this here. And now you talk about the your establishment. I come here frequently, and this, I was not expecting this. And is there a manager? And then you get with the manager. The manager comes, yeah, well, this, yeah, we're going to tell you, I know this is not you guys, protocol, one. And I'm just really shocked that it was like this. So I don't know if somebody was training, they didn't really know what was going on, but this is what I received, and I'm just seeing, based on that, there's something. Watch the attitude change. The attitude change, because one, you coming in there humbled. You're not coming in there fussing. You're not coming in there acting crazy. You're not coming in there acting a fool. You're not coming in there throwing rocks at everybody. But what you're doing, you're putting the establishment on trial. Because you got to remember, It's the establishment. It's not the person. It's the establishment that's on trial, not the person. The establishment, I got to keep saying this. It's the establishment on trial, not each individual that's in there. You have a reputation. This establishment has a reputation, has many moving people in there. So it has many elements within it. But the establishment has a reputation for making sure this service is always at the peakest level. And you don't know what happened this time. I have gotten more things to where they want to tell you what, take this, take that, here. Let me give you a free one for this when you come next time. Here's a free thing when you come next time. We're going to tell you what, we got gift cards. Let me give you a $50 gift card. Let me give you a $100 gift card. Why? Done it. They have done it. Why? Lowly is wisdom. Know when to use it. Know when to use that. This is in that doctor that, yeah, if this guy put in one more dumb thing, I want you to hide him from the channel. Because we don't have time, especially he got doctor something, PhD. Evidently, see again, we got fools who you got what you can call educated fools. So the same thing is what is happening. So you always want to make sure humility is always at work. Picking that up, we're going to look at something. In Deuteronomy chapter 8, we're going to pick that up. 8, we're going to look at 2 and 3. And it says, thou shalt remember all thy ways which the Lord thy God lead thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee, and to prove thee to know what was in thy heart, whether thou keep his commandments or no. So we should have been able to do this. And he says, and he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger and feed thee with manna. This is angels' food. Which thou knowest not, neither did they fathers know. That he might make thee know that man do not live by bread alone, but every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Spirit of God doeth man live. That's the key. That's the key to everything. We have to remember, when we don't come humble on many such situations, your needs will not be met, ever. Why? Because the defense system going to automatically come up. No, that defense system's up. Why? You come in, they see this angered person. I know most people heard this angered black woman. You can just say angered black spirit, or you can look at this angered, no knowledge spirit that's coming. You can look at it that way. Because you got a lot of men, angry black woman. This angry with no knowledge spirit is coming to start a whole bunch of stuff, thinking he's going to get something to happen. Same thing, no difference. We have to meet these things a certain way. So Jehovah, he uses trials and corrections to humble his people, testing their faithfulness and dependence upon him. In this process of humbling leads to a deeper understanding and resilience of this divine substance that we look for. Many times, most people don't know what we do over here. And the same thing we do here is what we are pushed. And mainly what I love to do is making sure we help each other. So what I do, I use my same profession to help people here. But you see, the proud, I will resist them. I do it automatically. Won't think twice. I do it automatically. Why? Because most people think, and this is a big thing. This is a huge thing here, where you can go to these other places where they call churches. You can go to these other places, what they call these churches. We have to remember what happened. We have to remember what happened. Meaning this. When you sit there and you're looking for things, and you're hoping to look for what you want, and you not humble on what you're doing, he's going to use those trials. He's going to test your faithfulness. So this process also in humbling, leading you to a deeper understanding on what need to happen. So when you sit there and you get in a situation and you react a bad way, I promise you, it's never going to come out in a good way, because you're going to always be met with resistance. Always. We'll see something where we hold on to something and making sure. In Psalms 119, we look at this in verse 71. See, it is good for me that I've been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. What's the process of using this? This affliction serves as a tool for learning Jehovah's laws and growing in spiritual maturity. So humility is gained through suffering. Humility is gained through trials. The same as I was saying. See, people here, they take a lot of things for granted. And same thing like I said before, and I'm going to get into what I was going to say the first time. Like what I do here. We are preparing letters for people to do certain things. We do this. You can go to any other facilities and stuff like that. They don't do that. We are preparing letters so you can have certain things to be done. I do that. I only do that because I use that profession to assist the people that's here. However, you have people think they have a right for that, and they don't. I only do that just to help my people. I don't do that because I think that you have a right to do that, because you don't. I don't mind doing it. I do it all the time. But when you meet it based on attitude and everything else, you will not get it. Why? You come in as if this is a right to you, and it's not. The same as when people were sitting in these other buildings. They'll sit there, go up to him and tell him you need a letter and see what happens. See what he tells you. He'll tell you we don't do that here. I don't know where you need to go somewhere else and get that. You don't get that here. We can assist you, we help you. But the biggest thing is people think they have a right to that. And you don't. That's the biggest issue. They truly do. And they don't. That's why I'm telling you, it's funny, even some of the emails I get where they sitting there call themselves checking me. And I said, okay, cool. There ain't no sense in me doing a letter. Ain't no sense in doing it. Why? You think I'm supposed to do that, and I don't. I'm only doing it just for the body, using skills that I have to help you. It's the same thing. Humility, grace. Humility, grace comes right behind it. Pride, shame. Why? Because I'm going to check you. Either I won't respond to you or you're going to get checked. One of the two. And it don't even matter. But this is the problem that we have to understand. Because as soon as things start happening, people really truly believe that these things is, okay, well, no, he has to do this. No, I don't. No, I don't. Trials serves as a tool for learning. You're going through that trial, I help you. Going through this trial, I help you. You reach out, hey, can you? Yeah, I help you. But most people think that's something I'm required to do. That's the same thing as the elders table a couple of weeks ago. Same thing. It was sent in to them, and it was anonymous. I'm not sure if it was anonymous or not because I'm not sure. But they sit there and said, "Do the church supposed to take care of the widows?" That was a loaded question, and they just being real nice about it. But they sitting there. They want to put in there, if they're a widow, then the church is supposed to take care of them. That's why I said that was an interesting thing, because I commented on it. So it's the same thing as, so then if you want the church to take care of you, then what if we have widow men who need their needs taken care of? We should be able to send them there. They're a widow. But then they'll think that we're wrong. Then they'll think that we're trying to run some weird thing here. No, I want you to understand. It says, don't oppress them. Don't oppress the widows. But they want you to take care of them. That's what goes on. That's the problem within the bodies. In these trials that they have, they go through this. But it's a learning process. And as this learning process, as we go through here, we got to keep in mind what we need to be doing. What our eyes are on. Our eyes are not on trying to sit there to get over it. This is why some of the biggest problems we have. Some of the biggest problem we have is a lot of our people seeking reparations. Oh, we want reparation. We want this. Yeah, hopefully you get it. Because I hope they actually push that through. Because the Most High put us in this position. And we have to make sure we doing what we're doing to get out of this position. But if you thinking that man did it and that you're going to get reparations behind it, then you got your salvation. You got it in your hand. So when you stand before him, he's going to sit there and say, I don't even know why you're here. You got your salvation in your hand. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 11, it says, my son, despise not chastening of the Spirit of God. No, don't despise that. We put ourselves, one of the reasons why he's telling you not to despise it, one, we put ourselves in this position. Go back and read Deuteronomy 28:15. We put ourselves in this position. He did not. We had the entire outline on what was going to happen if we chose not to be obedient based on him bringing us out from up under the Egyptians. So with that, if we choose to go the opposite way, why are we going to despise chastening? You don't want to be corrected? It says neither be worried of his correction. So don't even be worried of it. For whom the Spirit of God loveth, he correcteth, even as a father a son whom he delighted. He delighted in you, but he's not short to discipline you. He's not short to do these things. And all this is a process to mold us, to help us to understand what was going on according to the law. That's all he was doing the entire time. But some of us despises that. We don't like it. And it tells us this in Galatians chapter 3, picking it up at verse 24. It says, wherefore the law was our schoolmaster. Those corrections, when we break in those laws, when we do those things, that was our schoolmaster to bring us under Christ. But if you go the other way, that brings you under death, which is things of the flesh, which shows you right back in Galatians chapter 5, verse 19. It tell you, because now we're doing works of the flesh. We're doing adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness. We do these things. But the law was our schoolmaster to bring us under Christ, but these brings us under death. So why do we do it? We don't want the correction. For whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth. And when you commit an adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, he corrects us on it, and then we get upset. I'm telling you, we can't. It's like a catch. He said, wait a minute, if I correct you, y'all get mad. I don't correct you, you going to hell. You going to the hot place. So what do you think he should be doing? What you think he should do? What you think he should hold to? So what we have to do, we have to humble ourselves. We have to humble ourselves. And we humble ourselves to the voice of Christ. Meaning we know we don't know everything. So if we don't know everything, then you need to seek it out. You need to ask the questions to where you know what is right and what is wrong. In James chapter 4 and verse 10, it says, humble yourself in the sight of the Lord, and he shall lift you up. Voluntary submission to Jehovah is a hallmark of humility. It's a hallmark for it. This is what each and every one of us should be doing. Meaning the same thing is, when you're in a position of a teacher, you're teaching, a brother teaching, elder, a deacon teaching, you don't know something, you ask. One of them teaching, if another elder teaching, another deacon teaching, and it's something that you didn't catch, say, oh, dang, that's interesting how you did that. Ask. What the Lord gave him, ask. Dude, man, that was interesting how you did that. What make you run? What make you run to that way? Ask. Oh man, what? I didn't know that word meant that. That's what that word means. Ask. Because if not, you're going to be humbled. Micah chapter 6 and verse 8, it tells us this. And let's look at this. Micah 6:8. And it's telling us real clear. It said, he showeth thee, O man, what is good, and what do the Lord require of thee, but to do justly and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God. He's asking you the question. He's asking a straightforward question. We need to be walking humbly. Don't be afraid to ask. And this is why I sit there. This is why it's more upsetting than anything. Because the biggest thing is, we get back there, we have all these sisters asking the question. All the brothers sit back there and know. But then when the brothers come up, they don't know. Interesting. I know everybody's seen those sisters, what they did. I know they've seen it. But the main thing is, what's the issue? What is the issue when them sisters did what they did? We shouldn't have a problem. We should not have a problem. And I know if y'all missed it, it was this one right here. The daughters of Israel. I know y'all seen it. If y'all didn't see it, I know you've seen it. If not, go look at it. Daughters of Israel, from the biblical law class. The reason why the problem is, that should have been a bunch of men. That should have been a bunch of men. That's why I was so upset. That should have been men doing that. Even though women can do that, because it was all class, all of us learned together, but that should have been men. Breaking that down. Share something with you. Share something with you that goes on that most people don't know. And we need to really, really pay attention to all the time. Because what most people don't know is something I'm going to explain to you. I'm going to explain to you in a layman's way. In a layman's way. Actually, I'll use this one. I was going to use that one, but we're going to use this one. In Proverbs, actually, chapter 27, 17. I'm going to show you something. I want you just to understand the layman terms of this. 27, 17. It says, iron sharpens iron. Now, I'm going to tell you, one of the dumbest things you see, you got Christians and other people, they'll sit there and they'll say that. Or they'll come to you and say, well, iron sharpens iron. No, bro, you ain't even iron. So you can't sharpen me. The thing is, when I go in the back, when Elder Jenkins and them back there teaching, iron sharpens iron. Meaning, I don't care what position you in. If you don't get it, you need to ask the question, why? That iron sharpens the other one. So a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. So you shouldn't have no problem, no issue, asking somebody else, hey, dude, I didn't get that, bro. How do you, oh, that's the elder such as, oh, elder didn't know this. Hell, he can care less what you think. He got to sharpen his iron. It's not sharpening iron based on some theology. No, we sharpen an iron based on precepts, based on biblical law, based on understanding this book. Iron sharpens iron. So when you don't ask the question, them women got them little switchblades, I put them women to be almost against anybody. Mess around and get cut. Mess around and get cut. Why? I got a whole bunch of women got switchblades and sharp as a tack. Sit there, boy, and slit your throat. You won't even know you cut. Why? Because men, I'm back there iron, trying to sharpen some more iron, and I'm back there sharpening switchblades. I'm back there sharpening switchblades. They got them in their bosoms. They got them on the side of their thighs, waiting to cut a dude. Waiting to cut a man. Because I'm back there sharpening switchblades. And I'll tell you right now, this shouldn't even be. This shouldn't even be happening. We men, they should be back there sitting there like, boy, these men, boy, they be putting in work. But guess what? You're so embarrassed to sit there to ask the question. So I'm just back there sharpening switchblades. Every now and then I sharpen an iron. Every now and then. But that's what that is. Them women should be able to sit back and just watch us go to work. That's what they should be, sitting back, eating popcorn for work getting ready. He going to, work getting ready to go down. Questions is going down. That's what should be happening. But guess what? It ain't. It's not. It's not there. So what we have? Iron sharpening switchblades. Here's what it is. When we should be iron sharpening iron. I should be sharpening iron to where People, them sisters should sit there and sit there like, man, them sisters, run up on one of them, get cut. Humbled sisters. You got one of them sitting there, Elder, you know, I'm going to ask you a dumb question. She said it all the time. I ain't going to even tell you who it is. Most people should know who it is. I'm going to ask you a dumb question. You know, I got to ask it because my daughter's going to sit there and I know they might come up. Really? It's smart question. Come up with a smart answer. But the same thing is, that same ones that got to be taught. Them switchblade teaching switchblades. She got one of the highest reading equivalent tests. She scored extremely high. Switchblade. Growing. A switchblade. And we should have iron. This is the issue. So as we look at this and we see how this goes, same thing as it's going, we're going to look at this over here. In Deuteronomy, that's why we got to go back to Deuteronomy. I want to show you something to see the differences of it. Deuteronomy chapter 28, we're going to look at verse 28 and 29. And we want 28, 29, 22, 28, 29, I'm sorry. And it says, provided a man find a damsel. I want you to really understand how this is actually going to play out. So if a man finds a damsel that is a virgin, that is a pure one, which is not brought up, and he lie hold on her and lie with her, and they be found, then the man, you see it's M-A-N, then the man that lay with her should give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she should be his wife because he have humbled. I want you to keep that in mind. He humbled her. It's the same thing as, have you ever seen men where they get these wild horses? They got to humble that horse before they can ride the horse. And he may not put her away all his days. I want you to keep that in mind, because the act of humbling a spirit, it leads to this lifelong commitment on what should be happening. This lifelong commitment. It reflects the seriousness of binding nature of this intimate relationship. Understanding of humbling someone. I want you to understand clearly what I'm saying. Of humbling someone. It involves an action, circumstances cause a person to recognize their limitations, weaknesses, their need for humility. Meaning this, you have women who's back there right now, as far as the world is concerned. They have educational achievements that's higher than mine in their fields. Now, the same thing is, as a Master Hebraist, my achievement is higher than their attorneys. That most people don't know. So, an attorneys, they go through political science and go and get their law degree. My status is higher than theirs. But to know the intricate parts of the world, you have sisters who have high degrees. That's back there currently right now. I'm making that point to make this. Those same women recognizes their limitations. They recognize their weakness in knowledge of the Bible. So they humble themselves. They ask the questions that need for humility. So it can be understood as this carnal spiritual context, you can say, within the Bible. So when we explore the understanding in the real world example and biblical references to grasp deeper understanding and significance, helps us to understand when you humble yourself, you're humbling yourself to where you can know more. This is why those women excel. No other reason. This is why they excel. Our men, we know everything. This is why we stay stagnant. This is our issue. This not just here. This is across the board throughout the world. Humble brings a state of humility in these experiences, these challenges, their pride and self-importance. We don't know how to do what we need to be doing. Let me explain something to you. Look at correction and reproof. Correction and reproof. And this is pointing out someone's mistake or wrongdoings. And it always often leads to them to acknowledge their faults. When you corrected someone in reproof, it always showing someone mistakes and wrongdoings, but it can lead to them to acknowledge their faults. Correction and reproof. And then you have failure and setbacks. I want you to understand what I'm saying. I want you to understand the language I'm using. You have failures, you have setbacks. These experience failures. Don't get that mixed up. These experiencing failures or obstacles that you can sit there to see that forces a person to now reassess their ability or their approaches towards something. And you should look at that failure in that setback as an opportunity, as the obstacle that forces a person to now reassess their abilities and their approach towards what they was doing the first time. And personally, all I'm doing is sharing with you right now where my success came from when I studied under Dr. Shaul. That's all I'm doing. When we have this service and submission, these situations where a person is required to serve others, service to serve others. But then you have submission. Then you have to submit to the authority. Teaching them the true values of humility. Submission. These are interesting things we get into. We have to understand exactly what we're doing, and to still look at this another way, to show you the same thing. And to understand this, let's understand something. Where my mouse at? Can't find my mouse. Oh, there we go. Couldn't find my mouse for a second. So we're gonna pull this from the same thing, Deuteronomy chapter 8, but we're gonna look at 2 and 3. We're gonna go back over there. I'm gonna show you another way. It says, "And thou shalt remember all the way of the Lord thy God that led thee 40 years in the wilderness." The key is to humble thee. We're here to be humbled, but you see, pride is still here. To prove thee. Proving you still prideful. To know what's in thy heart, you want to be the man, vainglory. To know what's in thy heart, you want to be the man. whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. He humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger, to feed thee with manna, to know that thou knowest not, neither did thy fathers know, that that he might make thee know that man do not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Spirit of God doeth man live. So as Yahweh sent his word into the wilderness, so we got that experience to humble Israel, teaching us that we need the dependence upon him. We don't know everything. Because it said the earth was void. It was actually, let me, before I even do it, I'm gonna take you right to it. We're gonna look at this in Genesis chapter 1. It says in verse Genesis 1:2, it says the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Yeah, it lets you know it was chaos here. It was chaos here. It's the process of refining and testing one's faith and obedience. So what a lot of us do, we like to breast up. We like to think that we're it. So the same thing is, now we become the man. This is the issue that we have. This is the issue that men have. Let's look at something in Daniel chapter 4, but we want to look at verse 37. Reason why I want to show you something. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, know what Nebuchadnezzar means. Know what that name means. That's your key. I want you to go look that up. Know what that means. Spiritually. It says, praise and exalted and honor the King of heaven. All who works are true. In his ways, judgment, doctrines and teaching. In those that walk in pride, he is able to abase. He's able to humble your butt. He's able to humble you. Why you can be humbled? Because you don't know what you thought you knew. People, do you know how many people, and even how many here sitting there, I wish I knew more, I'd like to check. Yeah, that's all day long. Tell me something I don't know. I'm only here to show you what you're doing wrong. But most people are going to take offense to what I'm doing. Besides recognizing they need to study, they need to learn. So when you study within the framework, is intervention incorrect to guide the individual towards humility and righteousness. This process has everything to do with divine discipline, spiritual discipline, Yahweh's correction through life, through circumstances designed to teach humility and dependence upon him. I'm just a messenger. That's it. The only problem people have with this messenger, I'm not here to play the game. That's the only problem people have with this one. And you're going to go through testing and trials, experiencing challenges, one faith that revealed the need that Yahweh, you need him for your guidance, need him for your strength. Because guess what? As I'm walking through and I see that weakness, I'm going to attack you. This ain't talking about the women and children. I'm talking about the elders and the deacons, the ones who want to be teachers. When I see the weakness, I'm going to attack you. Because we should not have no weakness here. Everybody should be able to respect that. I am going to come at you. Soon as I see, that's what these testing, these trials are about. So as I'm going through and I see weakness, I smell it, I'm going to attack you. For that particular reason. Why? Because there shouldn't be no weakness in you. We have to do this learning through service. Humility is through the acts of service, following the examples of followers of Christ, meaning you have to study and know what you're talking about. Humbling. Humbling is unique. Humbling is, in the Bible, it functions as a critical element. This element, it functions. It aligns believers with Jehovah. And it's always going to involve correction, submission, and dependence on divine guidance. So these key points, as I said before, we need to understand correction and learning. These things we need to fully understand all the time. All the time, not sometime, all the time. And this is why it's so important as we, as men, should always be the one stepping up to the plate. We should be the one having our hands up, not sitting back. Oh, let me see what they got. Let me see what they got. Let me see what they say. So the same thing is. That's why we got so many changes we got to make. Because it's all about the ones who want to be humble, the ones who want to be, they want to learn. So that's the important thing. And 1 second, I want to try to make sure this thing is done. 1 second. And so it's want to hang up for some reason. So what I'm going to do, we're getting ready to stop here, but all the elders, deacons, teachers, I'm getting ready to put up a link. Give me 1 second. Get ready to put in a link, because we get ready to go into the Zoom. And I'm going to have all the elders, the deacons, teachers, these brothers that teach, I need you to come into the Zoom. And we're going to go through a few things. Let me, I'm trying to put this in another one, so give me 1 hot second. And I don't know why this is not going through. 1 second. Let me see if I can do it here. 1 second. So I'm putting the link here. The link is here. So we can go through that link there. So we're going to have all the elders, the deacons, and teachers to put themselves in that link to where we're going to go through and we're going to have a meeting. And we're going to go through there. So what I'm doing here, you can see it in the description. You can look down in the description. You can see the link also there. So all I'm looking for is the elders, the deacons, and the brothers that teach. That's all I'm looking for. So with this, hopefully that each and every person, you can see the link there. And I'm going to put the link here once more to where we can sit there and see it. So I say until we meet again, to each and every one. Let me get rid of this. To each and every one, until we meet again, I say to everyone, Shalom.